Title: My wife slept again with her boss, so I quietly stole his beautiful wife instead. She's so amazing, I told him while he stood there shaking with rage. I was already standing in his house when my phone buzzed, not vibrating, buzzing. A message that didn't know how to whisper. She's here. Same room, same lie. I didn't look at the screen right away. I was studying the framed photos on his wall. Smiling faces, vacation light, a man who believed he owned every room he walked into, a woman beside him, elegant, calm, observant, his wife. I smiled back at the glass. That was the moment everything finally aligned. My wife and I had been together 12 years, long enough to develop habits that felt permanent. Sunday coffee, her bare feet on the kitchen tile, the way she touched my arm when she wanted reassurance but didn't want to ask for it. She used to tell me I made her feel safe. I believed her because I had built a life around that promise. Her boss entered the picture gradually, first as a name, then as a topic, then as a presence that followed her home without ever knocking. I listened to stories about his ambition, his stress, his understanding. I nodded like a husband who trusted his wife and respected her career. The first affair nearly broke me. The second one taught me patience. The second one came with arrogance, sloppier lies, a confidence that assumed forgiveness had dulled my instincts. She changed passwords, shifted schedules, started smiling at messages she wouldn't explain. I didn't confront her, I upgraded. The truth revealed itself in fragments, a reflection in a darkened phone screen, a receipt she forgot to shred, a call that ended too quickly when I entered the room, then the confirmation, a security camera at a hotel I helped install years ago, a favor called in quietly, a timestamp that didn't lie. I watched them enter the room together. I didn't flinch, I didn't shout, I didn't break. Pain is loud when you don't know what to do with it. Once you do, it becomes very quiet. That was the night I stopped being her husband and became something else entirely. Revenge isn't rage. Rage is sloppy. Revenge is architecture. I began with observation, his routines, his weaknesses, his blind spots. Men like him are predictable. They confuse power with control and assume silence means ignorance. I collected evidence, financial trails, corporate policy violations, emails he never deleted because he thought no one would dare read them. I consulted a lawyer before I consulted my conscience. Then I turned my attention to the most important variable, his wife. She wasn't what I expected. Not fragile, not naive. She noticed everything. The way I listened instead of waiting to speak. The way I never asked questions I didn't already know the answers to. We met at a charity event he skipped because he was working late. She laughed when I made an observation about the room that no one else noticed. I filed that away. Trust is built when someone feels seen. I didn't flirt. I didn't rush. I mirrored her pace, her intelligence, her restraint. Weeks passed, then months. She confided first, not about infidelity, but about loneliness, about being married to ambition instead of a man. I never offered solutions, only understanding. One night she looked at me and said, "You're different." I agreed. The affair, if you want to call it that, was never physical at first. It was emotional alignment, shared clarity, a recognition that felt earned, not stolen. When it finally crossed the line, it did so quietly. No guilt, no chaos, just a mutual decision that acknowledged reality. Unlike my wife, I never lied. I told her the truth about my marriage, about his, about everything. She didn't recoil. She smiled. I prepared the final act carefully. Divorce papers drafted, assets secured, evidence anonymized and scheduled for delivery. A board meeting set, a dinner invitation sent. He thought it was business. Men like him always do. I invited him into his own home, poured him a drink, and gestured toward the couch. His wife sat beside me, composed, radiant, no longer pretending. I spoke first. "I know about the hotel," I said calmly. "All of them." He laughed. "A mistake." Then his phone buzzed. Board members, legal notices, an internal investigation triggered by anonymous documentation that happened to be very detailed. He looked at me then, really looked. I turned to his wife and said softly, "She's so amazing." The words landed harder than any accusation. He stood up, his face flushed, his hands shook, not with fear, but with something worse, loss of control. She stood too, moved closer to me, not to provoke him, but because she chose to. That's when he understood. Power had changed hands without asking permission. My wife cried when she was served, claimed confusion, claimed love. I didn't argue. Silence is devastating when someone expects drama. Her boss lost his position, his reputation followed. Influence evaporates quickly when credibility dies. And me? I slept well. People ask if I feel guilty. I don't. I feel accurate. I didn't destroy anything that wasn't already rotten. I simply stopped protecting lies that benefited everyone but me. Justice doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes it wears patience. Sometimes it waits until the moment is perfect, and when it arrives, it doesn't raise its voice. It smiles.